Hello everyone, I'm Juan TU. Welcome to the mystery case. Today I'm going to tell you about a case happened in the Old Lay district, Brother Johor, Malaysia. Old Lay is a small town located near the big city Johor, Paris. If you drive more than an hour, you can go to Singapore. One evening in 2008, a 16-year-old HOA girl who lives in Lay as usual and ready to go home. But she did not know that the calamity was quietly coming. In an instant, she mysteriously disappeared. This kidnapping, it quickly became the focus of Malaysia, appeared on the front pages of many major newspapers. It's been 16 years, but recently the case has been brought up again. There's a lot of controversy and unanswered questions. So what really happened on that fateful night? Before we start, I hope you give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Re-erection the 16th of April 1992 in Johor State, Malaysia. She grew up in Lay Old District and went to National High School. Are so fascinating. In the family is the original HOA. She is the third child to have two sisters and a younger brother, not being born into a wealthy family. But the application possesses outstanding beauty. You always talk about appearance. From hairstyles to costumes, many people see her as the star of the school. Not only is this girl beautiful, she's an excellent student. In the junior high school assessment exam, she scored an impressive 7 points A. From a young age, she learned to dance and was a member of the school's silk dance team. I can tell this is a pretty girl. Talent is good at learning. Although it has many advantages, it is not arrogant. On the contrary, you're very sociable and sincere. She often invites her friends to the movies. That's why there are so many friends. When it comes to you, who also said, with that kind of personality, there's definitely no I that hates the independence of kindness and respect for the teacher. It's what people remember about you. It's because of his attraction. There are many people pursuing it. Even that year, you are still in a stable emotional relationship. Help your family reduce their financial burden. Choose how to learn and do. Take part-time job at a clothing store in the mall. Hard-working, etiquette and graceful. She was very popular with the store owner and customers. The 9th of November 2008, 16-year-old as usual, go to the mall to do more. It's almost 10 p.m. when CA ends. She waved to her colleague and prepared to leave the center and go home and after rest. A long day of studying, I was tired. But you can't believe it. Right out of the mall, your life will completely change. It's 11 o'clock at night and she hasn't come home yet. At first the family was not worried. I thought you might have been arrested for something. But time goes by. A few hours have passed. Still no news from you. The feeling of insecurity is growing. They start to fear that something bad has happened. In a very anxious mood, they decided to call the police. All that night, the whole family couldn't sleep, waiting for some news from my daughter. Until 6:20 the next morning, a surprise call to her parents' phone. On the screen display the number of reapplication. They rushed to the machine filled with hope. But the other end of the line, it's not a girl's voice. It's a strange man with a cold voice. He claims to have been abducted. He asked his family to prepare 60,000 remixes to redeem in cash. Otherwise, the consequences will be severe. Hearing this news, the parents immediately panicked. I realized my daughter had really had a problem. They didn't waste time. They immediately called the police. Immediately after receiving Malaysian the notification, police set up a special investigation team into the race against time to rescue a 16-year-old girl before it's too late. And as I said before, the family is not rich. So we're putting together 60,000 remixes is extremely difficult. While the family struggles to turn the money around, the police didn't care either. They secretly conduct surveillance and investigation. When the news of the land kidnapping spread, a friend of mine was shocked to hear the news. Because you have a close relationship with your parents, I'm almost always there for you to comfort and encourage. He also reminded them many times that they need to prevent the kidnappers from harming her daughter. Meanwhile, the kidnapped ball is very cautious. They're afraid of being tracked by the police. So every call with my parents, it never lasts more than 30 seconds. And they're constantly changing places to deliver the ransom, deliberately obstructing the direction of investigation. After many changes, finally, they set up a delivery location in the Danape area, near Johor. This is an area about a 45-minute drive from Lay Ancient. It is near the Singapore border. After a long day of worrying, the family only collected 33,000, still short of the money the kidnappers demanded. Despite the danger, at 3 o'clock in the morning a friend of mine came this money to the rendezvous site and put it in a bush according to the instructions. But then the worst happened. After receiving the money, the kidnappers suddenly cut off contact. There was no confirmed call. There's no sign that they've released anyone. They broke their word and killed the hostages. In a low mood of anxiety, the police were forced to accelerate. To 6:15 p.m. that day, the police stopped a four-wheeled vehicle on the road. Arrest by a young man inside. 1 hour later, they continued their investigation and arrested for more. A total of 7 were taken to the station. After screening, 3 people identified as unrelated and the other 4 are still in jail. The 4 suspects arrested were 22-year-old Kim. Mr. Sun Long is 17 years old. World Sun Heng is 16 and World Kawa is 16. The police also confiscated a Photon Canary, a Malaysian domestic model. Inside the car, they found a ransom bag. There's still a lot of cash inside. Further evidence related to this case. And what's even more shocking is when the police found that all 4 suspects had known each other. With back improvisation. All 4 had dropped out of school and had a previous relationship with her. But the biggest shock came from an unexpected fact. One of the conspirators, the one who pretends to be a good friend, stay with your parents to comfort them. He's the one who keeps pushing his family pay the ransom, pretending to worrying, but actually manipulating them from the inside. This suspicious behavior has caused the family to become suspicious again. The police quickly led the investigation to him and find out the horrible truth. He didn't just know about the kidnapping, but also played a major role in the blackmail scheme. However, the identity of the traitor was not made public, to make the public even more curious. After being interrogated, all 4 finally confessed the horrible truth. They've killed the planet. Her body was dumped on a lawn in an old lay park. Immediately after receiving the testimony, immediately arrived at the location the suspect provided. They found the body of the sperm. Her lower body was badly burned. There are also burn marks on the face. Forensic examination results this confirmed. Is the body of the missing girl. The examination showed the cause of death is asphyxia. Her body showed no signs of sexual assault. The forensic experts concluded she was murdered not long after she was kidnapped. It was more than 24 hours at the time of death. Her body was left in a field. It's about 100 meters from the highway toll station. This is a remote area with overgrown weeds. People rarely pass by. It's only occasionally used by unsuspecting people as a dumping ground. At the scene, police, it's not just the smell of decomposing bodies, but also discovered a hole about 30 centimeters deep with burn marks. Clearly, this is where the unsub tried to burn the body. However, the fire could not completely burn the victim's body, and the evidence was finally exposed. The 24th of November 2008, the family brought the body home from the morgue to hold a funeral. Your delivery. It's in an atmosphere of silence and grief. It was attended by about 200 people, including friends, school friends. In Lynn Street, family put her favorite photo when she was alive, in which she make up softly. A sweet smile that makes our look also feel sorry. The star's friends lined up more than 400 paper roses to show affection and regret. Out, cards filled with final blessings. It is also placed on the altar. Your parents are ready for one, a white dress and a pair of dancing shoes to bury with. You can continue to pursue your dancing dreams. Your short life is filled with regret, but you are always loved. Sorry, that love could not save her from a tragic fate. Her death caused a huge shock to her family, especially your mother. For being so sad, she had severe depression. People are constantly looking for ways to help her not get caught up in the pain. After the investigation, the police discovered all 4 suspects were arrested. They never had a criminal record. Out, they also didn't find any crime tools on them. They are. What makes this group of young people cruel with such improvisation again? The group's motives have sparked much speculation from the public. The most trusted theory. One of the 4 suspects, Kim, was 22 years old at the time. Used to have strong feelings for improvisation. He expressed his feelings many times, but was always rejected. I can't accept the humiliation. He decided to join the 3 criminals in planning to kidnap her. Their goal is not just to coerce, take her by force. It's about blackmailing the family. However, the scale of the crime has exceeded all expectations. After receiving the ransom, they didn't release the hostages and decided to kill them. Even tried to burn the body to fly Tong. Police say the victim recognized the perpetrator. If you let her go, you can report her. So to hide, they've decided to kill the killer. Earlier, as mentioned again, she has a boyfriend who has known her for almost a year. Although there are many pursuers, you keep your distance and never let your boyfriend worry. It was about 2 months before the case. Kim's hips start harassing and disturbing her. He kept texting to make you upset. She complained to her boyfriend about this, but I didn't intervene too deeply. I just advise you to be careful. I believe again they are mature and can handle themselves. But that decision, it has become the biggest regret this boyfriend's life. After the kidnapping happened, her boyfriend realized right away it could be someone you know or someone you know. The reason is when the kidnappers use your phone to communicate, they called out your name. In your contacts, you are saved as a lover. But the kidnappers can call you by your name right away, which makes the improvisational boyfriend the killer must have known you. I know about your relationship. When I heard you were kidnapped, I was in a hurry to make money, even willing to borrow to meet the demands of criminals. But in the end, all of your efforts, in exchange for a cold body and an irrevocable tragedy. I never thought that those who are familiar with improvisation, they may be cruel to kill you and turn a kidnapping into blackmail. It was such a tragic murder. The 25th of September 2008 for suspects formally charged with 2 counts, kidnapping and murder. However, it takes time to verify evidence and DNA testing. The trial was repeatedly delayed. Until 2010, the case was officially brought to trial in the Supreme Court. According to Malaysian law, those convicted of murder will face the death penalty. The law also provides for 2 exceptions: pregnant women and underage persons, no matter how serious the crime. And this site is only Kim's hip is mature enough. The other 3 are under 18. Because they're minors, even if convicted, they're also only facing long prison terms instead of the death penalty. After the trial begins, the prosecutor presented the allegations, and the judge conducts a review of the evidence to determine the guilt of each defendant. During the trial, Kai White, 16 years old due to lack of direct evidence in kidnapping and murder charges, was declared innocent and released. Meanwhile, Nam Kim Hip, Leon Sion Lam, and Wan Sun Heng was determined to have enough evidence to charge. So you have to defend yourself. He was the only one in the group who had grown up under the law. Red was the first to defend himself. He denies all acts. Confirmed at the time of the case, he wasn't involved in the kidnapping or the murder. Western Kim told me he worked at a barber shop. At noon the day of the crime, he gave a friend. His name is Wong Bao, and he borrowed his Photon Canary. According to him, the reason he lent the car was because he wanted to take his girlfriend out. He told me that it was about midnight the next day. The new package returned the car. The next morning, Kim was ready to drive to work. He accidentally found out that his phone was forgotten in the car. This phone has no SIM card in it, and so he had the intention of appropriating it for resale. He then contacted the other 2 criminals, meet them at a restaurant to talk about selling the phone to the store, specialized in buying mobile phones. In addition, West Kim also testified that not long after the case, prince once again went to his barber shop to borrow a car, give him 500 green kids as a thank you. He also tried to deny any connection to the case by affirming the black plastic bag containing the ransom was found in the car by the Crown. It has nothing to do with him. However, the police quickly denied this claim and deep doubts about the existence of the Crown Prince. In the process of questioning, Little Red constantly being questioned about the true identity of the Crown, including hometown, home address information about family and acquaintances, but he couldn't give any specific details. I just answered that I don't know. This makes his testimony less than convincing. As I realized that my argument was becoming more and more flawed to a different defense, accused the police of torturing and coercing him. He claimed during his detention, the police abused him and threatened his life. He even used torture to force him to confess. He is also confirmed was tortured by the police in the form of electrocution and got his head in the water to force the bow. Kim Hip even denounced the police forced him to the scene where the body of the victim to build false evidence against him. Serial West Kim Hip, Leong Sung and World Sun Hand. He also denies participating in the killing. Try to minimize your responsibility in the case. They think they themselves play a small role. The prosecutor proved that Both BAS played a major role in the kidnapping and murdered the victim. Throughout the trial, the defense of all three defendants lack of persuasion. It's even more outrageous. February 2, 2011, the Supreme Court of the state of Johor issues its ruling. All three defendants have been charged with 2 counts of murder, the court declared. The trial will continue on the third day of the same Supreme Court to make the final decision. At the trial, the judge strongly condemned the actions of the accused. It shows that even at a young age, that they've committed a heinous crime, taking the life of a 16-year-old girl. Not just killing victims, they even tried to burn bodies to hide their crimes. The judge said that the BA showed no remorse, and the attitude is very cruel. They should be subject to the strictest punishment. Despite being sentenced to death, the fate of 2 minor defendants in the case, World Sun Heng and Leon Sun, it's not completely determined yet. Under Malaysia's Child Protection Act, they can escape the death penalty and be sentenced to life in prison. Whether or not they're commuted depends entirely on Sultan Bang Johor, who have a constitutional right to absolution. Malaysia is a multi-ethnic and multi-religious country. But under the constitution, Islam is the state religion. In most states, under the inheritance system, a Muslim will be appointed head of state. It's called Sultan. Spring melt sheet is of Arabic origin. It means that the CEO rules within the VI of its jurisdiction. Dispel has the right to pardon prisoners. This includes prisoners who are underage. So his fate Sun Heng and lay him Sirang later. It all depends on the decision of Spring Bang Johor. She was 22 years old at the time of the crime. He was sentenced to death and hanged for murder. Except for kidnapping, he was sentenced to another death sentence. The family again. The judge was always present during the trial. I want justice to be done. They think the verdict for Kim's hip is reasonable. Even if their children can't come back, at least the perpetrator has been properly punished. 2013 and 2015, Kim applied for 2 appeals. Both were rejected by the court. He has since been held in prison pending his execution. Meanwhile, 2 juvenile offenders are still in jail, waiting for a decision from expelling the European state. I thought the case was closed, but it was 2000. An unexpected turning point has occurred to make public opinion go up again. For 2000s to be Malaysia officially passed the law, abolished the mandatory death penalty. Previously, under Malaysian law, serious crimes such as drug trafficking, murder, terrorism, and the use of illegal weapons are punishable without any exceptions. But with the new law, the death penalty was not fully repealed, but instead, the judge has the right to decide based on the seriousness of the case. This change opens up opportunities for many convicted criminals, but not executed. Kim was one of the applicants for a retrial. The 16th of May 2000, the second officially retried in federal court. His defense lawyer insisted he really regretted and acted. The burning of his body was not cruel. It's just a way to destroy evidence. The lawyer also argued time-gagged causes improvisation. Asphyxia does not last long, so it can be seen as a mitigating circumstance. In addition, they also said that Kim was 22 years old when he committed the crime. It's not a criminal who loses his humanity. Although the victim's family and public opinion was strongly opposed, the 3 judges of the federal court agreed to make a judgment. Kim was sentenced to 45 years in prison and hit with 17 5 ROIs for kidnapping, 12 ROIs for murder. According to the ruling, his prison term is calculated from the date of his arrest in 2008. That means Kim's hip will be out of jail by 9/2048, when he was 62 years old. If there's good behavior in prison, he could be released sooner. This ruling sparked a wave of controversy. The family has 7 hopes, given that the punishment cannot make up for the loss they have suffered. They expressed concern that even if he was released, their families will have to live in fear because of the risk of retribution. Some legal experts have even voiced criticism that decision to reduce the sentence could undermine public trust into the judicial system. The law abolishing the mandatory death penalty has been passed and can't change anymore. For Numbness Kim Hip, a 45-year prison sentence, and there won't be any other changes. When we look back, this story is not just a shaky case, it's also the bell. Be aware of the dangers that can arise. Sometimes the wicked are not strangers, it's the people we used to trust. What do you think about this? Please comment at the bottom. Don't forget to subscribe so as not to miss the next new cases. Thank you, hi. See you later.